Before reading this collection, you might be wondering, who is G. Michael Rapp? You could say I'm a failed novelist. I've spent a good deal of ink trying to nail down the perfect novel, the next big thing. The stories before you have, at one time or another, been the starts and fits of novels, novellas, grand epics, or even my take on the ever-elusive grand American novel. They all failed, and failed miserably in becoming what they were supposed to be, longer, more accomplished works. However, they were destined to become something else, something more, really. They've become a part of an increasingly diverse collection of stories that clog my computer's desktop folders, various thumb drives, and hard drives, and the occasional notebook or two. They have taunted me for years, for various reasons I can't quite explain to you now as I write this obligatory introduction for all of you. As I write this introduction, I am reminded of Alistair Reynolds' sage words when it comes to stories of all kinds. Most are failures, or worse than failures. Of the stories that are before you now, they all failed to become much larger works. They failed to produce what was required of them. Most authors will not willingly admit they have so many failures under their name, under their pen, or keyboard. I, however, am different. I've decided to bring together a collection of my failed beginnings, clippings, sketches, and the like before all of you. These are the very best of my failures. Failures that have haunted me, and for good reasons. Like anything in life, false starts, failed beginnings, and failed endeavors help us grow as individuals. The same can be said of writers as well. These failings are not something to be ashamed of, although some would be ashamed of such things. No, instead, these failings should be something that allow us, especially writers, to build our lives around us into something wonderful, or at least practical. What you have before you is something beautiful. It may not be perfect, it certainly has its flaws, but it's something that has provided an amazing writing journey. I have learned, I have grown, and most of all, I have fashioned myself as a writer, here and now. Much of what is before you is a sort of cannibalization of my larger unsuccessful works. I have plumbed the depths for stories that were salvageable, worth reading, and not so abysmal failures. These are merely clippings, sketches, half stories, and failed stories that have warranted my attention over the past few years while putting together this collection. I only hope you enjoy them now as they are before you. If you like these failed stories, these failed beginnings, consider sharing them with your friends, family, or even your family's dog. G. Michael Rapp, Clovis, New Mexico, 2018.
Welcome back to Meatspace, Proby. I hope the requiescence wasn't too bad for you. I know it's not the usual Xiaomi pleasure palace you're used to, but too damn bad. On your feet, follow me, Proby, this way. You'll come to find out that the next few decades in Meatspace are gonna be real boring. War's a fucking bore. Don't believe me? Well, fuck you, Proby. I've seen some shit. I was at Tannhauser when the Civil War dragged the Great Sutran Navy into the thick of it. C-beams, sluggers, missiles, and nukes. A real goddamn party, if you know what I mean. We came within 300,000 clicks of the enemy. At that time, that's what the Ad Hoc Crat Command Council designated as close quarters combat. Anything closer would have been suicide for both sides. It was close enough that the entire volume of local space was chock full of loud boys, chaff, and sensor decoys. It was a real goddamn nightmare. I had only gotten out of requiescence a few decades before the showdown. I hadn't been in Meatspace for over 3.5 centuries prior to the fireworks. Talk about trial by fire. You doing okay, Proby? Looks like you got the shakes. Comes with the territory. Just don't piss yourself. Don't want any of it floating my way. We were all sitting on the edge. It was a hell of a sight. The entire fleet was positioned in various orbits around the system's star. Everyone was in full vac suits. The Atmo was pumped into the reservoirs, and the weapons were at the ready. We even managed to squeeze off a few shots as the enemy came in closer, knocking out a cruiser here, a drone carrier there. Real boring shit, like I said. Proby, war is a fucking bore. Took them almost a decade to slow down and maneuver into optimum firing range. Most of our shots were pretty damn lucky up to that point. Once they got into full range of the fleet, it was a brilliant sight. I've never seen anything more beautiful in my life, Proby. C-beams were slicing through hulls of ships. Metallic hydrogen, nasty stuff that it is, kept being pumped round after round from sluggers, smashing headlong into ships on both sides of the line. Gotta love physics, Proby. At 300,000 clicks, most of the fighting is done by computers. The computers just tell us where to shoot. Again, pretty boring, especially if you grew up on the Ubique vids. It's not like you have much of a say as to where the rounds go, where the C-beams need to be directed and whatnot. You're just a goddamn cog in the machine. Sometimes the computer locks you out, especially if you don't follow its commands. That's when you go from full-fledged participant to audience member in a matter of milliseconds. It's a hell of a show, but not exactly what you'd expect on a military ship. There are 3 things you need to remember on my ship, Proby. No, I did not make these rules up myself, so don't ask. As I was saying, there are 3 rules. Rule 1 is simple. War is fucking boring. Find something to do before and after engagements. Work on getting that offline system running again. Clean weapons that need to be cleaned. Help out stations that need helping, including the bastards in ship integrity. If they ask for help, you don't ask questions. You just do what they say. Rule number 2 is another simple one, so it shouldn't be too confusing for a dipshit like you. If you get confused along the way, ask the ship's computer questions. You need to remember that the computer knows best. Don't be going and ruining things with that gut of yours. That stuff is obsolete. That's the primate in your DNA telling you the wrong things. The ship calls it intuition fallacy, or something like that. Just remember that the computer can do it all. You can't fuck it up. It won't let you. If you try anything stupid, it'll lock you out. We trust the computer around here for several reasons. First, the computer can run circles around that ape brain of yours without breaking a sweat. Second, the computer checks its math and doesn't rely on intuition. The other guys aren't, so we sure as hell shouldn't either. The third rule is the simplest of them all. You can't fuck this one up. Well, you can, but you won't live long enough to tell anybody about it. I'll make sure to space your ass out the nearest airlock if you mess up. Don't worry, it's not a threat, it's a promise, Proby. The third rule is that if you see someone get hit by debris or grazed by a piece of metallic hydrogen, you help them. Don't leave them to die. You're talking about a matter of seconds. If you don't help out another member of the crew, I'll fucking space you myself. It's more than a courtesy. It's the goddamn law around here. We're all alone. Saving someone else's life could mean keeping the crew at full strength. We can't afford to lose anyone. The only bastards who are expendable are those people we're shooting at. The nearest reinforcements are over 1,000 lights away. We're talking a long time, a good deal longer than you might imagine. We could be dead and gone before we reach the nearest depot, so don't forget that. If you follow the rules, you'll do fine, Proby. Welcome back to Meatspace.